ever looked at a thundercloud and thought it looked like a brain? Or stared at the veins in a leaf and thought, wait, that's kind of like a river system? Or noticed how lightning looks suspiciously like tree branches and also kind of like the neurons in your skull? It's one of those weird, trippy brain moments where reality starts looking copy-pasted. Like nature hit Control-C on a shape and Control-V'd it everywhere. You're not alone, and you're definitely not going crazy. Welcome to the wonderful world of recursion and its cousin, cosmic patterning, where everything is made of the same something, and the more you zoom in or out, the more it all starts looking suspiciously familiar. And I mean everything. Nature, the human body, the structure of galaxies, even the way you overthink your text messages. It's all patterns, inside patterns, that make bigger patterns. And if you've ever had that weird itch, that feeling that maybe reality is secretly looping, that maybe the universe is riffing on the same beat over and over, yeah, that's not a bug. That's the whole system. This is Brain Scribbles, the place where we unpack your cosmic dread with cartoons, stick figures, and mildly alarming metaphors. If you've ever thought, that looks like a fractal while doing your taxes, welcome home. Let's start with a simple definition. Recursion is when something contains a smaller version of itself. Think Russian nesting dolls, or a mirror reflecting another mirror, or those times you open your webcam and accidentally film your monitor displaying your webcam. Displaying your monitor, displaying your webcam. It's loops, inside loops, forever. But recursion isn't just some math joke or camera glitch. It's a design principle. Nature uses it constantly because it works. Recursion is an efficient way to build big, complex things, using small, simple rules. Need to move oxygen through a lung? Branch it. Need to drain water off a mountain? Branch it. Need to fry a tree with maximum cinematic drama? Yeah, branch it. This branching pattern, sometimes called a fractal, shows up everywhere. Zoom in on a tree? Branches. Zoom in on your blood vessels? More branches. Zoom in on a broccoli? Okay, that one's just showing off. Fractals are nature's favorite way of saying, why make something new when I can remix what already works? But here's where things get weird. You don't just see these patterns, you feel them. They show up in your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors. Ever thought about why you're thinking about something you're already overthinking? Congratulations! You're now thinking recursively, and we're only just getting started. Let's zoom in a bit more. You might think recursion is just a fancy pattern game nature plays on trees and thunderstorms, but it runs way deeper than that, like into your actual brain. Neurons, they're fractal, little tree-like structures branching and branching, connecting to thousands of others, forming a giant web of electric thoughts bouncing around your skull. And when you think, that's not a straight line. That's fireworks. One idea triggers another, which reminds you of something else, which leads to a weird dream you had, which makes you anxious, which reminds you of a meme, which leads back to the original idea you were trying to focus on. That's recursion. Thoughts triggering thoughts, ideas feeding back into themselves. Sometimes it's productive, like when a single idea spirals into creativity. Other times it's a 5-hour rabbit hole about ancient aliens, flat Earth, and whether birds are secretly government drones. They're not, probably. But recursion isn't just in your head, it's in your feelings too. Ever feel anxious about being anxious? Sad that you're still sad? Guilty for not being over the guilt yet? Yeah, emotional recursion, a feedback loop of feelings. And let me tell you, the human brain is excellent at getting stuck in those. But recursion isn't inherently bad, it just amplifies. If you spiral in a good direction, say you're grateful for something, and that makes you notice more things to be grateful for, you can climb your way into a loop of joy. So the trick isn't escaping the loop, it's redirecting it. Because recursion, when used with intent, is powerful. Still with me? Let's zoom out again. Literally, take a telescope, look at a galaxy. Now, take a microscope, look at a neuron. The structure's shockingly similar. In fact, scientists have compared large-scale maps of the cosmos to neural networks in the brain. And the structural math checks out. Your brain is wired like the universe, or maybe the universe is wired like your brain. Either way, there's a weird symmetry happening, a pattern that echoes across scale, from broccoli to brains to black holes. That's not just poetic, that's physics, and it's making scientists, philosophers, and probably your local stoner ask, is reality built from a recursive code? What if the same pattern, repeated, is the reason we have life, thought, time, and TikTok? Scary thought? Maybe, but also kind of beautiful. Let's talk loops. Loops are everywhere, in code, in clocks, in your favorite lo-fi playlist that you've had on repeat for 3 hours straight. But loops aren't just tech stuff, they're how you experience the world. Ever notice how songs have choruses? Movies have callbacks, stories repeat familiar beats. That's not laziness, that's recursion. It's structure, rhythm, pattern. It's how your brain knows what to expect and when to be surprised. Memes are recursive too. You see a meme, you laugh, you remix it. Someone else remixes your remix, and suddenly we're in meme loop infinity, where the original joke is buried under 12 layers of irony and a picture of Shrek wearing sunglasses. Culture loops. Fashion revives itself every 20 years. Movies reboot themselves. Even slang gets recycled. We're in a constant remix machine, folding in on itself like a self-updating time capsule. It's why people say things like, history repeats itself, because it kinda does. The same themes, the same mistakes, the same stories, just with new actors and slightly better Wi-Fi. But let's zoom even further out now. Back to the cosmos. Back to physics. There's this theory in quantum gravity called the loop model, where space-time isn't a smooth, flowing fabric like you see in sci-fi movies. Instead, it's made of tiny loops, twisted strands of energy, like literal space spaghetti. And the loops don't move through space. They make space. Space isn't a thing, it's a loop. Time, a loop. You're not living in a straight line, you're living in a spiral. And the deeper scientists dig, the more recursive it gets. Particles contain smaller particles. The universe may be one bubble in a multiverse of bubbles. Reality might be built like a nesting doll, but with black holes instead of wood. It's loops all the way down. And that brings us to a bigger question. What if recursion isn't just a trick nature uses? What if it's how meaning is made? Think about it. You remember something because it repeats. You believe something because it echoes. You feel something because it patterns itself through your experience. You are, in a very real sense, like a meaning-making loop. A little chunk of stardust wired to detect rhythms and find truth in repetition. Kind of poetic, right? Also slightly terrifying. But hey, welcome to Brain Scribbles. Let's talk spirals. Not the spiral you drew in your notebook when zoning out in class. Not the cereal milk spiral you watched hypnotically as a kid. I mean life spirals. Those moments when everything feels like it's circling the drain. Same problem. Different day. You keep ending up in the same fights, making the same mistakes, feeling the same feelings you swore you were done with. It's easy to call that a failure, but what if it's just recursion at work? See, spirals get a bad rep. We think spiral and we imagine crashing, falling, losing control. But not all spirals go down, some go up. The key is this: loops are neutral. They can trap you or transform you. Because here's the truth no one tells you in school. Growth isn't a straight line, it's circular, recursive. You loop back to the same lesson but with more perspective. You revisit old pain but with new tools. You hear the same advice but finally feel it in your bones. That's the spiral. That's how change actually works. Every cycle brings you closer to the center, or further from it. It's not about perfection, it's about progression. And the spiral? That's just your progress. In 3D, even healing is recursive. You don't just get over something and move on like a clean break. You cycle through it, over and over. The grief, the anger, the numbness, until one day you circle back and it doesn't hurt quite as much. That's healing. It's messy. It loops, but it moves. Same with learning. You don't learn by hearing something once, you learn by revisiting it, retesting it, forgetting it, relearning it, over and over. Every new understanding is a remix of what you already knew. And creativity? Oh, that's nothing but loops. Artists iterate, musicians sample. Writers rewrite the same paragraph 42 times before it feels right. The best ideas don't drop from the sky. They emerge from recursion, a loop of testing, tweaking, trying again. It's like sculpting, but instead of clay, you're carving out truth from a tangle of thoughts. It's chaotic. It's frustrating. It's beautiful. It's what makes art feel alive. So next time you find yourself back at the beginning, don't panic. You're not stuck. You're just spiraling. And maybe, just maybe, that spiral is taking you somewhere new. All right, let's leave Earth for a moment. Let's float up, out of our brains, out of our atmosphere, past the solar system, through the galactic dust, and into the deep, dark, cosmic everything. Because recursion? It doesn't stop with trees or thoughts or Spotify playlists. It might be the way everything works. There's a theory called the cyclic model of the universe, and it says the cosmos doesn't just start once and end forever. It breathes, expand, collapse, boom, start over, not a straight timeline, but a spiral, an infinite loop. The Big Bang, just the latest inhale. And black holes, not cosmic garbage disposals, but maybe seeds of new universes, sprouting recursively from the ashes of old ones. Imagine that for a second. Every time a universe dies, another is born, each one with its own patterns, built from the echoes of the last, like cosmic reincarnation. or the universe dreaming itself back into being, over and over and over again. Let's go deeper. There's also something called the holographic principle, and this one's a mindbender. It suggests that all the information about our three-dimensional world might actually be encoded on a two-dimensional surface, like a cosmic DVD. You sitting there watching this might be the 3D projection of a flat set of instructions scribbled on the edge of the universe, which is kind of poetic. Because a hologram, it's recursive. You can break off a tiny piece of a hologram, and it still contains the whole image. Fuzzier, yes, but complete. Sound familiar? The fractal of a fern, the branch of a tree, the neuron of a brain, the spiral of a shell, the you inside the loop. Each part contains the whole. Each pattern echoes a bigger one. Each thought might just be the universe trying to recognize itself again. And that leads us to the ultimate cosmic maybe. What if there's only one pattern, one universal blueprint, and everything we see, the galaxies, the grass, the graphs on your phone are just different expressions of that one shape, twisting, looping, remixing itself over and over? It's a strange idea, but strangely comforting, because it means you're not lost in the chaos. You are the pattern, and maybe that's what meaning is. Let's come back to you, back to that very human, very messy life you're living, full of habits and heartbreaks and wait, didn't I just clean this room? Moments, because yeah, you live in a recursive universe, but more than that, you are recursive. You repeat thoughts. You repeat routines. You loop through memories like skipping stones on a pond. Your brain is a remix machine constantly stitching past experiences into present decisions. And whether you're conscious of it or not, you run on loops. Wake up, check phone, feel behind, procrastinate, stress, sleep, repeat. Not because you're broken, but because that's how patterns work. The real question is, which ones are you choosing to repeat? Because once you notice a pattern, once you see the loop, you have power. You can interrupt it, reroute it, redesign it. This is true for everything. Your anxiety spiral, it can become a meditation spiral. Your creative block, just the messy part of a new loop forming. Your stuckness, that's not the end. It's the middle of a pattern that hasn't evolved yet. Even small shifts matter. Change the pattern of how you start your day, and you might shift how you end it. Break the loop of negative self-talk, and suddenly your entire mental model starts to rewrite itself. Start journaling one new idea a day, and give your brain a recursive playground to explore. Because recursion isn't just a thing the universe does. It's a thing you can do, intentionally, creatively, repeatedly, until it becomes art, or a habit, or healing, or hope. So next time you feel like you're going in circles, don't panic. You're not stuck. You're spiraling forward. You're evolving. That moment you loop back to something familiar, ask yourself, are you in the same place? Or are you a slightly newer version of yourself, walking a slightly better version of the path? That's recursion. That's growth. That's the pattern. Remembering itself. Thanks for watching Brain Scribbles. If this gave your neurons a friendly existential tickle, subscribe, share it, or just whisper, I am a fractal into the void and see what echoes back. And remember, sometimes to understand the universe, you just have to zoom in, then zoom out, then zoom in again and again and again. See you next loop.